Woo! Let's do this for real. Okay, I can't be moving this chair that much. Okay. Okay. What do you imagine when you think about Wonder Woman? That doesn't make any sense. Oh my god, okay. Let me do it again. What do you imagine when you think about Wonder Woman? That's so silly. It honestly feels like a very silly, stupid question to say, but I was thinking about this concept, this question, randomly one day, I guess. I was thinking of this question right around, some conversations around Tom King's Wonder Woman run, right? He's been on Wonder Woman for, oh my god, is it 2 years? Oh my god. This is why you can't trust Google and their stupid AI. It's just, Tom King hasn't taken over the main Wonder Woman ongoing comic. Shut up. That's not helpful. Oh my god. If you heard anyone who uses social media, especially when it comes to comics, you know what Tom King, as a person and as a writer, is very divisive. More as writing than him as a person, but I feel like everything he's ever written has two sides. You have people who love his work, and you have people who absolutely hate him, and they hate his characterizations of characters and all this stuff. And I feel like Wonder Woman is kind of like one of the biggest ones. I guess you can argue Batman is, since he was the writer that took over from Scott Snyder, right? So, but I was just thinking, like, what is the right version of Wonder Woman? What are aspects of the character that are, Bible? They're like, that is Wonder Woman. Because I feel like when we talk about characters like Batman and Superman and whatever, we have these notions about them, right? Batman never kills, and if Batman is killing in a story, it becomes very important, right? Why is he doing this? What version is he? Is he an alternate version? Is it something serious? There's core values to Batman that when they're challenged, it's a purposeful challenge, not like a mischaracterization. Like, yeah, you can often say like, well, Batman doesn't joke, or Batman doesn't say this, or his favorite color is red and not blue. Like, that's stuff that, like, yeah, I guess there is like an answer to it, but it's really not that important at the end of the day. Like, does Batman's favorite color being red, but some writer says blue, really gonna destroy the story? No. But Batman killing people left, right, and center and not thinking about it, that changes the dynamic. And I feel like when we talk about Wonder Woman, it's a little challenging to think about what is like the textbook, this is Wonder Woman, right? Because I feel like because when you talk about Wonder Woman, you feel like you have two different versions, right? You have the Wonder Woman with a sword and Wonder Woman without a sword. And that seems like so simple and so stupid, but I think it's true. And I think about this when I was watching Zack Snyder's whole DC universe. But I'm not someone who is a Zack Snyder hater, not a Zack Snyder defender. I like his movies, but I'm not gonna like die on the cross to defend him or anything. And one of those things I disagree with is his portrayal of Wonder Woman. Not all the time, but I remember in Batman vs. Superman, the picture that Bruce sees of Diana Wonder Woman from the past, right? They shot a filler photo before the photo that was taken for the Wonder Woman movie was done. And I think it was set during the Ottoman War or something. First up, why do you pick such an obscure war? Like, that is insane. It's like, I think there's one thing about it that I did not like was Wonder Woman. She was like holding 3 heads. And I'm like, that is crazy. Like, that's not the Wonder Woman I would know, right? That's not Wonder Woman that I know of. She wouldn't have done that. So even just a simple picture change that was done for Wonder Woman under packaging, I know she didn't take the picture, but it's her cast and everything, with her just standing there elegantly with the rest of the cast and everything. But yeah, it's something that, like, I don't like the violent Wonder Woman. I feel like that's not inherently in her nature, but I could be wrong. Maybe that's just a personal preference. Like, I don't like the Wonder Woman who's actively going out and killing people. I feel like she kills out of necessity. So it seems I haven't seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, his cut, right? But I've seen like the clip from the bank where in his version, like, she's like killing these guards. Like, yeah, obviously in this situation, these criminals or whatever, they were gonna kill these children. Like, they were gonna kill the school and da-da-da-da. So violence does make sense, but it just does not feel like that Wonder Woman specifically, right? And I feel like that's kind of the problem sometimes when it comes to characters in these connecting comic book universes, where you'll have one creator do something and they're not really talking to each other, and it feels really crazy. And that you have that in comics too, but I feel like in movies it's way more noticeable because we're not getting multiple issues over 1 year. We're getting one movie or one show for that character in a span of a year or so. So it's almost like the Wanda thing from in Marvel, where you spend this whole show, WandaVision, kind of understanding her grief and why she kind of freaked out and took over this town because she lost Vision and she loves Vision, and then you go to Multiverse of Madness and she is just like an entirely different character. Like, she's just like evil, and she is like murking people, like killing people left, right, and center. And it's just like, what? Like, you had me watch this whole show to gain sympathy for her, and then she's straight up evil, and she has to go through this whole process of being forgiven again. It just feels like it doesn't make any sense. It's almost like, what was the point of watching WandaVision to watch Multiverse of Madness? I think they mentioned that the writers for Multiverse of Madness did not watch WandaVision, or one thing wasn't finished. That is just one example. And I feel like that also comes through with the DCEU and Wonder Woman, because I feel like Aquaman doesn't fall into that, and we didn't really get any other stuff, like the Flash movie, no one cares. But Wonder Woman, I feel like how Zack Snyder approaches these characters versus how the solo movies approached them is very different. And it's just like that kind of scene where I think she snaps like some guy's neck with a lasso, if I remember correctly. And it doesn't feel like her, especially... Ooh, because is 1984... this is where I'm getting confused now with the timelines. I don't know what was filmed first. I believe it must have been the Justice League was filmed first before 84. Yeah, it has to, because I think Justice League came on 2017 or something, and then Wonder Woman 84 came on 2020. Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like you have Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman killing people, and not to say that Patty Jenkins in that movie, she wasn't killing people. Like, there's the whole war scene, but it's not like she's just going out of her way to kill. I feel like I'm contradicting myself. But anyway, this is what I'm saying about Wonder Woman. I feel like you have these two distinct versions. You have Wonder Woman the warrior and Wonder Woman the peacekeeper. That word sounds loaded. I don't know. But, that's one division right there. You have Wonder Woman with a sword, Wonder Woman without a sword. I know there's people who prefer her to not have a sword. They like seeing her fight with wrestling style. And I will say those are probably more interesting fight scenes, her using the lasso or wrestling moves compared to having the sword and the shield. It's two different types of fighting. I don't know, but that's an example. Which one is the right Wonder Woman? I don't know. And when we talk about her outfit too, like Wonder Woman with pants, it's always just a big deal. You give her pants, and it's like, oh my god, this is crazy. Wonder Woman 600, when she got that whole new outfit with the pants and the jacket, and oh my goodness. Or her in the 90s with the little biker shorts and the weird bra, or her in the 60s with the white outfit. It's like, all those are like remembered, but like remembered because they're so different. And I feel like you think about her outfit, I think people, I don't know, I feel like when you think people, hey, what does Wonder Woman wear? Like, you automatically think about Linda Carter, because it's such an interesting example of taking the costume from the comics and putting it into a real person. It's the little leotard, little bathing suit, the red boots with the white stripe, the tiara, and the bracelets, and lasso. And I feel like it's so simple. It's so simple, it's so easy to replicate, that I feel like almost every Wonder Woman outfit is like that, with slight alterations, especially the boots. I had this idea of writing like a whole Substack post or something about boots and shoes in comics, but that's not what this is about. But shoes are so interesting, and even like Wonder Woman, she has like these very iconic colors, maybe not as iconic as like Superman and Batman, because she carries the same colors as Superman, where Superman's always wearing blue and red. And you really don't really see him not wearing at least one of those colors, unless, again, it's a reason. Like, what's the black outfit from? Is that from after he came back alive? That's bad English. But anyway, Wonder Woman has these same kind of colors with the stars and stripes kind of bathing suit bottom part, or like the little eagle thing on top, right? So even when you think about, I'm trying to think of her modern stuff, like I really like the movie version where it's like you have like the skirt, so it kind of is like feminizing her, which I, you know, you can argue is problematic in its own way or whatever, but you know, I like the little skirt, but it's like pleated, so it kind of looks more like a tunic. I really like the wedge boots they gave her. Another thing where it's, you kind of have homage to the heels because her boots have heels for some reason. Obviously, you know, there are versions of the red white boot that don't have the heel, that's more flat. They look kind of weird, if you're being honest. So I kind of like the in-between, which it's like a wedge, but it's like an armor shoe, which, you know, doesn't make any sense, but it's cool. And, you know, I like the more muted color sometimes, sticking from the white outline to the gold or silver. Silver is nice, but I think they've pretty much stuck with gold in the past probably 20 years, has been stuck with that gold color, except for the gauntlets. No, gauntlets are usually silver, maybe with some gold accent. But even then, like, you show someone a picture of Wonder Woman in the skirt armor outfit or whatever, or show her a picture of like the one from like the 70s and the 80s into the 90s, like that little bathing suit outfit, like that's both Wonder Woman. None of them is wrong. Wonder Woman big curly hair from the 80s, or Wonder Woman from the 2010s of the long luscious black hair, or with the little bob, like that's, you know, those are all Wonder Woman. She has black hair usually, she doesn't have blonde hair, but except she's that one actress from what, the 70s from that other Wonder Woman show. But it's just thinking, like, again, is there a right version of Wonder Woman's outfit? You know, that's a concept for another day, because, you know, Batman and Superman have different outfits. I mean, are they also all the same alterations of like the bat ears, and it's black or it's blue or it's gray, you know, whatever. But, you know, I think this way of how, like, what is the right version of Wonder Woman, because she doesn't have that much media representation outside of like a handful of things, right? Superman and Batman, they have tons of movies and cartoons and video games. Not so much for Superman for video games, but Batman at least. And they get to explore so much of their lore and their history, and, you know, different villains and different this, that. You can grab an average person and they can name you 5 Batman villains or 5 Superman costumes or side characters, right? But if you ask someone for Wonder Woman, hey, can you name 5 Wonder Woman bad guys? They're gonna struggle. They're gonna name probably the Greek gods. But how many people know who the hell Eggman is, or Dr. Psycho, or what's Silver Swan? Who knows this stuff? like I feel like even casual comic people don't know this, unless you were reading these characters when they came out. But Wonder Woman's lore and mythos, I feel like, has not expanded in the public consciousness besides the Greek origin part, except for the island, Paradise Island, and the Amazons, and Steve Trevor, and her leaving. Like, that is the story I think 90% of people know, right? Even casual comic fans, I think that's what they know, right? How many people know all these other lore, unless you were reading these Wonder Woman comics and you remember them? It's interesting. I feel like I didn't know who the hell Etta Candy was in the 2016 movie and had to look her up. I didn't know that. Like, how would I have known that? I mean, I could have read the Wonder Woman comics. She's existed and has shown up. But like I said, Wonder Woman is one of those characters in which she's so iconic to comics, especially women in comics. And I feel like a lot of people just don't read her comics. And I'll admit, I don't read Wonder Woman comics like that. I've read some here and there, but I'm not sitting and reading Wonder Woman monthly. So I'll be honest with that. Even Tom King's Wonder Woman, I read like half of it, maybe. Tom King has too much words on his page, and I'm like, dude, do we need this many words on the page? Like, this is a comic, bro. Oh my god. That's whatever. My one gripe with that. But I haven't finished like his stuff, so it's not, I'm not a hater either, but I just think about, you know, Wonder Woman, and when we think about her, she got 2 solo DCAU, the animated movies. The one I love watching from 2009. That was a really fun one. I like watching that. And then, what's the other one from? I don't know. Yeah, when we talk about her cartoons, right? You have the Jones and 9 movie, which I loved watching all the time. You know, it's like low-key kind of violent. The more you think about it, like, oh, that people be dying in this. And then you have the 2019 one, Wonder Woman Bloodlines, which it feels like they're like, okay guys, this is our only chance to make a Wonder Woman cartoon in this current DCAU continuity. We gotta shove every iconic Wonder Woman storyline in this. And it's like Silver Swan, and then she gotta like burn her eyes, and then you have Giganton, and it's like, whoa, why are we going so fast? But, that's an example. It's like you have like 1,000 Batman cartoons, Superman cartoons, and you have like a little bit of Wonder Woman. I feel like the most time you see Wonder Woman cartoons is in Justice League related stuff, or in Batman and Superman related stuff. She doesn't really have a lot of her solo stuff. And because of that, we don't get to explore a lot of her lore. Think about television. We have the Linda Carter show from the 70s, right? And that's before a lot of these other characters showed up, before the modern iteration of her and characterizations of characters and all that stuff. Then we have the Cancel show from the 2010s, and when we get to movies, we had to wait until 2016 before we got our first mainline Wonder Woman movie. And, it's another introduction with Paradise Island and Steve Trevor. Yeah, it's 2017, Crystal. Which is fine because you're reestablishing Wonder Woman for this new DCEU. I mean, the biggest problem was the hot mess that was DCEU. But despite everything that happened with the DCEU, with, Gal Gadot and whatever you feel about her, that movie is good. It's a good movie. Yeah, the movie is 2 hours and 21 minutes long. It doesn't feel that long. But it's a good jumping on point. It's, the costuming, the music, the look of it is fun. And I think everyone involved did a great job. It's just a shame that the direction of DCEU was like so discombobulated and insane, if we're being honest. Like, come on, we have all these solo movies that worked, and then it's like they didn't know what to do. They like dropped the ball so crazy. And then you have 1984, which is a movie. I don't think I hate it as much as other people hate that movie. I know I was excited to see it, and I was severely let down, but and it doesn't help that with COVID and damn, that movie's 2 hours and 31 minutes long. It feels like that one feels like it. But 84 coming, and then the whole issue you're running into with post Justice League, post issues with Zack Snyder leaving and Joss Whedon coming in, and those issues, and then it's craziness that these kind of gave up having connected universe. Like, what, we'll just have the movies come out, and they just were existing in this weird space. And then now, Wonder Woman 3, that was supposed to be helmed by Patty Jenkins and have returning Gal Gadot, that's obviously dead in the water with James Gunn's, James Gunn taking over, which is probably for the best at the end of the day. It wouldn't make sense with his current canon, and we don't know what his plan is, obviously, for the foreseeable future, but hopefully whatever happens for Wonder Woman on the big screen will be exciting. Hopefully it's slightly different. Who knows? Whoever does Wonder Woman next has an interesting road ahead of them. But anyway, let's get to why I wanted to make this podcast to begin with. I threw all these ideas out, all these different versions of Wonder Woman. What is right? What is wrong? I don't know. And I was thinking, I don't have any, I have no ammo in order to defend my opinions on what Wonder Woman should be like. I can't say for certain that I don't like how Tom King characterizes Wonder Woman, right? Obviously, people who are fans of Wonder Woman or, whatever, or comics in general, they are allowed to have their opinions. If they don't like Tom King's Wonder Woman for whatever reasons, fine, whatever. But I feel like I want to have some more ammo on my side to be like, why I like or don't like his version because of this, and this. But I realize I don't know Wonder Woman like that. I know her more colloquially, right? I know her from cartoons and movies and games and whatever, but I've never really sat down and read her mainline stuff. I've read some Elseworlds versions of her, the one-off issues here and there, and I'm like, I don't know her like that. I don't know where things come from. Like, where do we get the invisible jet from? Where do we get the lasso of truth from? When does the story start to slightly change? Her first appearance in 1941, where it's like, do we still keep using World War II? Is she immortal? Is she not? Like, when were these changes implemented? And I was talking to my dad about this when it comes to comics, because I was born in 2001. I was born after so many iconic storylines have already come out, especially Wonder Woman, where I feel like she doesn't have that many iconic storylines, and that's not to insult any writers over the years, when you ask Batman and Superman fans, like, what are your, like, favorite stories, they can rattle off, like, 10 different storylines and different writers. And I feel like when you ask a comic book fan, not a Wonder Woman fan, comic book fan, like, their favorite Wonder Woman stories is always, like, George Perez's Wonder Woman. That's not to insult George Perez. There's a reason why people like it so much, and there's a reason why it's the foundation for modern Wonder Woman. But what about the stories before George Perez? What are the stories into the 90s and the 2000s and 2010s? Like, what happens in those periods? I don't know. I have such a blind spot. I don't really know this stuff. And so I was thinking, you know what? Why don't I just read every Wonder Woman comic? We live in an era where we have such easy access to reading these comics. I don't have to hunt down, how many issues? Like 1,000 issues now, but of like mainline Wonder Woman. And I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to read every Wonder Woman comic. And what's crazy of coming up with this idea of reading every issue is that 2026 is her 85th year of existence. And, that's crazy. Again, for a character who's so iconic, I don't think we know so much about her. Especially thinking about the Absolute line and how they take characters, and especially you don't really have that many Wonder Woman comics. You have like 1 million Batman comics. Let's keep it real. There's like at least 10 Batman comics coming out, or Batman related characters. You're lucky if you have like a Wonder Woman comic. Very rarely are you having more than one, but you're having the Tom King Wonder Woman coming out the same time as Kelly Thompson's Absolute Wonder Woman, which is I don't want to say it's a radical reinterpretation, because it's radical in, I think, aesthetics and, kind of the origin that we're all used to seeing. I feel like that's what makes it radical. It's like she's still Wonder Woman to her core. And again, how can I say that? I don't know Wonder Woman like that, but I think I read the first issue of Absolute Wonder Woman. I finished that. And my favorite page from that comic is when she's a baby, and I think there's like a snake or something, and the snake, or salamander or something, and it comes and it tries to burn her, and she like grabs the baby salamander, and she's like, no, and she kisses it, and then they keep it, and I'm like, that's the Wonder Woman I know, or what I think I know, or I prefer, who, obviously she's a warrior and she's raised as such, but she is about love, right? Batman is vengeance, Superman is hope, Wonder Woman is love, as corny as that sounds, but love is, how can love sounds corny, but compassion is probably the strongest thing you can have. Compassion to those who probably don't deserve it, right? It'd be so much easier to just kill someone or hate them, but love is so strong to feel that way. And I think that's like the core of Wonder Woman, right? Is love. And I would really like to explore that idea as I'm reading all these stories, right? To see, is that really what Wonder Woman is at her core? Because usually when you look at the Trinity, it usually is vengeance, hope, and love. She got the star sapphire ring in Darkest Night, but she got the love sign. So it's love. It's kind of this big thing around her. And I would love to read all these comics and think like, is this really who Wonder Woman is? Is love and compassion her storyline? And to see how she's changed and evolved, obviously. From 1941 to 2026 is a lot of time, especially for a woman character. And she's going through 2 waves of feminism. And I'm looking forward to sticking to this and reading all these issues as the decades go on. Especially the 60s, because I just want to see why she has that white outfit on. And she's like, I am no longer Amazon, I'm doing Kung Fu. I need to read that in real time, because that is crazy. But yeah, I just want to see, because it's interesting to see characters grow over time. Obviously, I keep bringing back Batman, Superman, but obviously because they're so tied, all these characters, because they're have a few years difference on each other, but they're so similar. When you have Superman and Batman change as the decades go on, obviously all these characters change, especially the ones who are so closely tied to World War II and America at the time compared to America now. It's it's hard to have these characters who were American symbols, but they're not American. So now you kind of have to, Superman is, but Wonder Woman isn't. She's just closely associated because of Steve Trevor usually, but anyway, but seeing how she evolves throughout the years becomes, what are things that are constantly being referred to, ideas, the way she talks, the way she looks, what are these things that have stayed throughout all these decades, right? And what has been left to the wayside, I think, will be interesting to read year by year. And, you know, maybe at the same time, maybe I'll pick up the Tom King. Maybe I'll pick up Absolute Wonder Woman. Who knows, right? That'd be kind of crazy reading all at the same time. But anyway, let's get into the first issue. Yeah, because this is what I get for not making these episodes earlier like I was supposed to do. But anyway, so this first episode, after my intro, depending on how long it is, I don't know, while editing, is going to focus, let's just focus on her first appearance. And then next week we'll cover, 42, 40, whatever. So we'll cover that first year, and then we'll go year by year. You know, what can go wrong? A lot of things. Yeah, for now, we're going to cover the first issue, and next time I will talk about that year. So, we start All-Star Comics number 8. She is a story in the pages of the Justice Society of America. You know, everyone's favorite team that we all love and know. You know, if you're like 80. Anyway, we get this intro about who she is. This was interesting. We have 8 pages. And, you know, it's that old-timey kind of writing, which is very hard to get used to when you're used to modern storytelling, modern comics. So it's like kind of on the nose, which is storytelling, and it's like, gee willikers and all that stuff. But anyway, I still find it really interesting and fun to read. It's funny what's highlighted when we have such a limited amount of time. So the thing that like really stuck to me about this issue is the character of Mala. And you know, again, you only have 8 pages to tell the story. Not everyone's name, not everyone needs a name. But the characters who have names is Hippolyta, Steve Trevor, Diana, and Mala. And I'm like, does Mala need to have a name? Like, is she going to be an important character? I have to look that up if she has any relation to some reason why she's named. And I think what's interesting about reading this, just these 8 pages alone, was kind of seeing Grant Morrison's take on Earth 1 Wonder Woman a little better. Because I read that, I haven't finished it, but I was like, this is a little weird. You know, Grant Morrison stuff is weird. I think this is probably the first Grant Morrison thing I've read. And I'm like, what is going on? But then reading this 8 pages, and I'm like, oh, I see where he's pulling from. And I always say, I feel like once I read her first solo issue from Sensation and Wonder Woman, I'm like, oh, I see where he's pulling from. I'm seeing where they're pulling from. But anyway, Mala is in this first page, and when they see this plane is like crashing, they're like, oh my god, it's a plane. And this is the stuff where I'm like, okay, so they know what a plane is? Because you find out that Hippolyta has this magic like dish where she like FaceTime man's world and sees all that stuff. But like, does everybody see this? Do they have books? Like, how do they know what a plane is? This is, you know, pretend. You know, I'm being a little tame right now. But anyway, they see a plane, it crashes. Paula and Diana are like, oh my god, it's a plane. And they, yo, it's a dude. A dude on Paradise Island. That is crazy. Yeah, a man on Paradise Island. Quick, let's get him to the hospital. Right? And they're like, let's drag it. And then my favorite is like Diana carrying a passed out Steve Trevor, and it's like carrying the full grown man as if he were a child. You know, hilarious. Then we get to the hospital, and the doctor has the most hilarious outfit I've ever seen. It is stereotypical doctor, that little dish thingy on her head, glasses, sort of lab coat, but remember, she's a woman, so she has to look pretty. And this outfit is just crazy to me. But anyway, she's like, yo, he's knocked out. He's jacked. Alright, Hippolyta comes in, Queen Mother, and they're like, yo, oh, I'm joking. And they're like, yo, he's like really jacked up right now. And then they said this plane crashed on the beach, and they found him, and they read his little paper, and they see that, you know, he's Captain Steve Trevor, U.S. Army Intelligence Service. And then she's like, we can't let him die. He's kind of important. It's funny. I read this when I'm rereading it as I'm, you know, going through it. I'm like, that's so funny, actually. We can't let him die. He's, like, low-key important. We gotta keep his eyes covered because, like, we'll keep him alive, but doesn't mean he gotta know our secrets. You know, fair. Anyway. So they're like, he's sleeping. And Diana's like, well, I'm curious because I have never seen a dude in my entire life. And now I'm gonna be nosy and stay here and watch him. And so the doctor's like, yeah, he's doing fine, but like, I don't like how much time Diana's spending with him. And then her mom's like, she's in love. I'm like, huh? Obviously, love is not the same way we're thinking about it. Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. Love at first sight. He's knocked out. what's a better way to start a relationship? Anyway, but she's in love. I guess it makes sense. She's never seen a dude before in her life. And at this point, this is 1941, so she has to be straight. Duh. Whatever. So they're like, oh my gosh, she's in love. Not good. So they're like, we gotta like separate them now. So then Hippolyta's like, let me tell you a tale about how we're on this island to begin with. So we got the story of how there was a place called Amazonia in ancient Greece. Hercules came with his crew of guys. He's like, I want to fight the queen, Hippolyta. But Hippolyta had this thing called the magic girdle that was given to her by Aphrodite. And she could not lose, so she's like, yo, bet, let's fight. They fight, she wins. And this is my favorite part, because obviously we have like no time to get the storyline, but she somehow loses the girdle. How? We don't got time for that right now. She loses the girdle. Since we don't have time, she's like, prays to Aphrodite again. It's like, girl, can you do me one more favor? Can you please save us? And she does. And they break out, and they beat up all the men, take the magic girdle, and they dip. And they're on boats, and they leave, and they find this random island. They're like, we're gonna stay here. And on that island, they're able to thrive, and whatever. Advance so far ahead that their stuff is way cooler than man's world. She also was gifted this big dish, the magic spear. Sphere, not spear. Sphere. The magic sphere you've heard me talk about. It was given to me by Athena, the goddess of wisdom. She's like, yo, you beat Hercules? The Herculeans? So cool. Here's this big dish. You gotta carry it everywhere. Yeah, that's why they got like all this cool stuff. So I guess you can say that's like how to get some of their knowledge, but I'm assuming not everybody has access to this dish. Again, I'm thinking of this too harsh. But anyway, so this is when I was like, oh my god, now I see where Grant Morrison's getting all this stuff from. Especially the first page of, what's it called? Or it's Wonder Woman, where it's, I still think this page is a little crazy the way it's drawn, where you have like Hippolyta on the floor, chained up. Hercules is like mocking her in the Amazons. So you can tell, okay, this is when they lost the girdle and they're enslaved. Obviously, because this is 2000 something. You're able to be a little bit more on the nose about like, okay, you know, this is not good. What happened to them? And then she's praying to the god. I think it's like all the women gods. It could have just been Aphrodite again. I don't remember. But then she's like praying and they save. And this part they like slaughtered all of them. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking about the girdle, the magic girdle. It seems to be very important in the storyline because they say that as long as you have the magic girdle, what is the quote? Say here, there is no want, no illness, no hatreds. Hatreds? Is that right? No wars, and as long as we remain on Paradise Island and retain the magic girdle, we have the power of eternal life. Right? So long as we permit ourselves to not be again beguiled, sorry, I can't read, by men. We are indeed a race of Wonder Woman. Boom, we have like one of these things, the magic girdle, which it's something I think obviously is from Greek mythology, I believe. Hippolyta's girdle, because that's, I'm pulling this, I don't remember, from Greek mythology, but I'm pretty sure this is from Greek mythology, and that's what Hercules takes from the Amazons, if I remember correctly. So obviously we're pulling that, and I wonder, again, how important will this girdle be in the upcoming years, whatever. Time will tell. Anyway, so then we get this little aside about what happened to Sea Trevor, and they look at the dish, and they're like, okay, the sphere. And they're like, it's a sphere, but it's a dish? I don't, whatever. They see how it got here, and it's basically, see, this is like, wait, we got 8 pages? Why is 2.5 pages dedicated to Sea Trevor? Girl, I don't care. Anyway, but basically, Sea Trevor, bootleg Captain America, okay? But, he's so honorable, he's so good, he's like, I'm gonna capture these enemies, I'm gonna jump them. So he's gonna, like, go get these guys, and he's like, I'm gonna go beat them up. And they're like, fine, we're gonna kill you. And they take him with them. They beat him up. They put him in this auto. What's it called? What kind of plane is this called? I was laughing when I heard it. Robot plane. Like, I don't know what that means, but I guess it has like auto stuff in it. So like, we're gonna take this plane and we're gonna drive it to the American base and start dropping bombs on them, right? And what happens, Tifa's like wakes up and he's like, oh my god, that's not good. Obviously he takes control because whatever, and he's like, fine, so I'm gonna go blindly follow this plane because he's such a good man. He has to go follow them. I'm gonna go follow these guys to see their secret base. Oh no, I'm running out of gas. Luckily this random ass island is here. So luckily this random island is here, crashes, and Dinkai is not dead. And so now they're like, well, daughter, this is Hippolyta. Well, daughter, there's a history of your captain up to the very moment his plane crashed on Paradise Island. But mother, he must be taken back to America to finish the job he started. What job? You don't know where you guys went? It's like, getting him back would be a problem. Leave me alone, my daughter. I must consult with Aphrodite and Athena, our goddesses. I must seek their advice. She's like, okay, cool. And then Diana's thinking it wouldn't be any trick for me to fly back myself, but mother would never allow it. So anyway, this is another part where I'm like, okay, this is how you know times have changed. So like Hippolyta like FaceTimes basically Aphrodite, and Athena's like, yo, got this dude, what do we do? And like, yeah, we have to return him. He's so important. The gods have decreed that this American army officer crashed on Paradise Island. You must deliver him back to America to help fight the forces of hate and oppression. Obviously, we gotta think about the year. We're in 1941, right in the midst of World War II. So obviously, you know, gotta rally the troops a little bit there. Like, yes, Hippolyta. This is Athena. Athena's like, yes, Hippolyta. American liberty and freedom must be preserved. You must send him your strongest and wisest Amazon, the finest of your Wonder women. For America, the last citadel of democracy and equal rights for women, needs your help. And I'm like, whoa, time has changed. Because you ask people about that, I don't know how many people agree with that statement. And, you know, this is another thing which will be interesting to talk about. Like, obviously, when this came out, it's right in the war. It's like propaganda. Most comics and stuff like this was like a little bit of propaganda. I can't speak. Propaganda. Whatever. You know, we're fighting this war for the right reasons. And, you know, this is good. And da-da-da-da-da. And I wonder, obviously, in her 85 years of existing, how this idea of him having to be returned will be handled. I don't remember exactly in Grant Morrison's version. I think she just wants to return him just because he, like, it's not supposed to be here. I can be wrong, but it would be interesting, again, to see in the future when we get another version of the origin, which I know it's going to be like 1,000 times. We're going to get this origin so many times. You know what? I got to write a running tally of things that are repetitive. And I think it'd be really cool to see how these first things show up. But anyway, we get to our iconic thing, which we see all the time. The contest to see who will be the strongest Amazon. You know, Diana's like, I want to join. And Hippolyta's like, no, are you crazy? You're my only daughter, and no. And Diana's like, damn. So I'm gonna put a mask on. And I always find it's funny in Wonder Woman stuff that, like, nobody else wore a mask. Not a little suspicious. Like, I don't know how many Amazons are on this island, but I'm assuming over how many years you guys all know each other, but whatever. She wears the mask, they compete. They do a deer running thing where you have to, like, catch the pack, and then Diana passes the deer. And obviously, because we have no time, we just talk about everything else. And then who's left? It's Diana and my favorite character, Mala. And they're like, let's do bullets and bracelets. And the crowd is going crazy. They're like, oh my god, it's bullets and bracelets. And again, I know they said the Amazons are advanced, but they have, like, revolvers. Like, where'd they get that from? They just made it? They have gunpowder? You know, I'm not gonna question. Anyway, so they're like, basically it's like, we're doing where we take like 6 paces or something. Let me read exactly what Hippolyta says. Each of you will shoot 5 times. Your opponent must catch the bullets on her bracelet or else expect to be wounded. Now take your places. Number 12 will shoot first. Number 12 is Mala, by the way. So Mala's like, bow, bow, bow. And then Diana's like, pew, 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 pew. And then it's like Diana's turn to shoot. And he's like, bow. She gets Mala on the shoulder. She's like, oh, my shoulder. And then Diana takes her mask off because her mom's like, you know, who are you? And she's like, oh my god, it's my daughter. Damn it. And I do like, obviously, we'll see in future versions where it's like Hippolyta forbids her or doesn't. You know, it depends on the version. But anyway, she's like, oh, you know, of course she's the best, my daughter. And she gives her the outfit, which she's like, this is what I made, or this is what's for the winner. And this is what I found interesting about this. So Diana is not called Diana this entire 8 pages. She's called Princess. And this is the first time she's called Diana. And I'm like, does she have a name? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm stupid and I'm reading this wrong. But you get this interaction between Hippolyta and Diana. She gives her the dress. She's like, I knew it. I felt it. I thought perhaps, well, it's too late now. You've won and I'm proud of you. In America, you'll indeed be a Wonder Woman, for I have taught you well, and let yourself be known as Diana, after your grandmother, the goddess of the moon. And here is a costume I've designed to be used by the winner to wear in America. Right? So this is a let yourself be known as Diana. So I'm like, is her name not Diana? Does she have a name? I don't know, maybe just one of those things that I'm like clocking it. Like maybe she's always named Diana after her grandmother. But I just find it funny they don't call her Diana this entire like page until this moment where she's like, you're Diana. And then anyway, she takes a dress. Diana takes a dress. She's like, oh my god, it's so cute. She didn't say that. She wears it, and we had the first time on comic page where we see Wonder Woman. Wow, crazy. And she looks great, obviously. This is the first version of the costume. It's a top and a skirt and boots and the bracelets and the tiara. No lasso. No lasso, which I think is very important to highlight. So I think with this first 8 pages, you get a lot of, I think, lore. Like, I was kind of making fun of the fact that you don't get a lot of info on the page or anything like that, but you do get a lot of information to it, which I think is very exciting. And it kind of makes sense why she would be so popular. Like, you know what? We need more Wonder Woman. And so I think it's, so much interesting stuff. Obviously, we get a lot of the foundations for what will be Wonder Woman's origin and ideas going forward. And, we come back to the idea of love again, obviously in a much more simplistic way, where it's like she falls in love with Steve Trevor, but obviously because she is in love with him, whatever that means, and I gotta take him back. She makes this selfless decision of taking Derek, she knows she can't return, because we find out earlier in the issue that once you leave Paradise, you can't come back, and I'm assuming Diana finds it out. And so it's this idea we're leaving the only place you ever know to deliver a stranger back home, and that's Wonder Woman, I think. So obviously we get the island, we get her mother, Hippolyta, we get the Amazons, we get Steve Trevor, we get Mala, whatever. Mala is also in that Grant Morrison run, but anyway, so we get that. No plane, obviously, no invisible jet. I don't think that comes till later, but we have no lasso either, but we have the bracelets and the idea it can bounce bullets off, which is, fun and everything like that. But then our outfit, obviously we get the same colors and everything, which is, fun and great. Love to see it. And the magic girdle is another thing I wanted to mention about. When will we see that pop up again? I don't know. So, anyway. So that is the first 8 pages. Very fun. I liked it. I think I read the first issue of Spider-Man, and that felt very simplistic, and I think that's like a criticism, or, not criticism, like it's like a point of conversation. When it comes to Stan Lee's writing, it's very simplistic compared to, oh my god, I'm forgetting his name. The creator of Wonder Woman. William Moulton Marston. These comics were made for children, or they're geared towards children, but I feel like it's still simplistic in a way that's like, easy to read, but not like it's dumbed down. And I can see definitely how Wonder Woman take off, especially, us women superhero back then. Women were in comics, but not like this. And it's interesting to see what the next stories will be. I really don't know. And I, like many people, know basically the footnotes version of Wonder Woman's history. Obviously, because you only have 8 issues, we don't know every little detail. Obviously, there's no Clay baby origin in this, because only 8 pages, we don't have time for that. But it's interesting to see, okay, when do we first see these iconic moments, right? This is the first time we see outfit and all this stuff and whatever. I feel like I'm rambling, but anyway, great start. Excited to see what the next year or so, right? This is where I complicated, because I just wanted to stay with mainline Wonder Woman, but I don't want to discount Sensation Comics, is where she had her first stories. So I think for now, I will do, oh my god, year by year, I'll do Sensation Comics into Wonder Woman, and then once that original Sensation Comics is over, we'll not do any other side Wonder Woman stuff. I will just stick to mainline Wonder Woman, just because that's a lot. I mean, there's not gonna be as much as if I was doing like Batman or something like that. But yeah, so basically for our next episode, it will be 1940 or whatever, or 43, depending. I got that check. This is what happens when you don't bank your episodes. But anyway, so yeah, we'll have our first year of Wonder Woman. That might be Sensation and also Wonder Woman, but I think that first year is just Sensation Comics. But Next episode will be, boom, first year, full Wonder Woman comics. We'll catch up with Diana and Steve Trevor when they're back on Man's World and see what happens. I've previewed it. I haven't read it obviously yet because I'm bad at pre-planning. Anyway, excited to see where everything goes. Wonder Woman storyline, Diana storyline, and the storyline of this podcast. I'm excited, nervous, and scared to keep this all up, but you won't know until you start. I will see you here next Wednesday for another wonderful Wednesday update, or whatever I'll call this. Anyway, have a great day, night, noon, or whatever, and read comics. I don't know. Alright, if you want to stay up to date with the podcast, hopefully I'll update these social medias. You can find this on any podcast sites you will listen to, mostly Apple and Spotify. YouTube will have a video with no audio. I don't feel like doing video. I'm too lazy. I don't want to do that. But YouTube will have audio as well. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at whoisww41, where I will hopefully post updates and whatever. But anyway, and then follow my Substack, which will probably be Who is Wonder Woman. Who knows? I haven't made it yet, but I'll have everything linked in the description. So hope to see you here next week in the future. Happy Wonder Woman Day. Whatever. Bye. See you later.